Hi, Victoria Verse here. It's raining like cats and dogs outside. I know that you probably can't see it and aren't going to be able to, but it was raining earlier to the point that I couldn't even see my trees. About a year and a half ago, I got struck by lightning. Me and storms are not the best of friends, and so I'm gonna cower in my bathroom. Fizzgig. Fizzgig will go for help. Fizzgig will go for help. No, he will eat my face. The dog will eat my face. Will you call someone? Will you save me? No, probably not. Probably not. All right, so let me set the stage. I lived in a 3-story, 100-year-old building. It was all brick. On the outside of the building was a metal fire escape, and right across the street was a very, very tall hotel. It had like 20, 30 foot tall lightning rods on it. So it already had a lot of lightning rods, and the building had this metal fire escapes, and I was inside. I was like a good solid 10 feet or more away from the windows. There was a storm coming. All right, so there's a storm that looks like it may hit. The storm misses town entirely. Look, I already look like I've been struck by lightning, y'all. This is such a look. So I love storms, but this one was skipping town. It was not coming in, it was not hitting the town. And I was kind of disappointed, but you know, I thought, all right, well, it's fine. And so the storm does not hit town, and so I'm thinking everything's fine. Well, all of a sudden, this bolt of lightning comes out of nowhere. It skips the Falls Hotel. It completely skips this giant hotel with very tall lightning rods, and it misses the hotel. It misses the metal fire escape, and it goes through this very large window and hits me. Yeah, it hits me inside the building and throws me across this room and explodes the chair I'm sitting on. The only thing that saved my life was I was wearing these thick, wedgy flip-flops, and they had, after they caught fire, y'all, these flip-flops actually burst into flames. One was on the kitchen island and one was over there, and they were actually like smoldering. So, and the power had been knocked out, by the way. So I kind of come to an indeterminate amount of time later. The lights are back on. This side of my head is kind of semi on fire. I bat my head out. I grab my cell phone. Thus begins this huge trial of trying to get the cell phone to A, understand what town I'm in. Well, A, understand what state I'm in. B, understand what town I'm in. C, connect me with the local town authority. Then I try desperately to get them to understand where I am. Now, I'm having a problem getting my mouth to make the words for "I have been struck by lightning and here is where I am." They did not understand "struck by lightning." Eventually, I stammered and stuttered and got my words out. I'm hitting the floor. I didn't realize at the time that I couldn't move the lower half of my body. I managed to convince them where I was. I got them to come to the building. Now, I was home alone, like I said. There was no one to let them in on the bottom floor. So the firefighters actually had to come up the fire escape. This is what I'm assuming happened. I didn't actually see them, but this is what makes logical sense. They put the ladder to the bottom of the fire escape, climbed up the ladder, and then came in the window that had been blown out, because the window had been forcibly blown inward by the lightning that had come down. So they come in the window, and I am left with the very surreal picture of these firefighters coming in at me through this window. Firefighters. And so these firefighters come and they're talking to me, and it's only making kind of sort of sense. My recollections from this are very, very spotty. And I remember several things. I remember them coming in the window. I remember very garbly talk. I remember them taking me down in this like chair. It was like a chair gurney, and it jumped down all these steps down to the street. And several things were made clear to me. 1, the storm missed the town. 2, there were no other lightning strikes. 3, it missed all of the metal objects. And so I got to the hospital, and I was talking to, everybody like crowded around me in this tiny, tiny hospital in Marlin. They were not really equipped for emergencies, so they really didn't know what to do with me. And this one very nice doctor kind of looked at me and he said, I've never seen anyone that survived getting struck by lightning before, which is very, very comforting in that moment. And I remember there was this really, really great paramedic, which if you're out there, Bear, I love you. I love you very much. His name was Bear, and he introduced himself. He kind of got my attention and he said, hello, my name is Bear and I am an EMS. And I was like, hello, because I didn't quite understand what was going on. I didn't quite rock this. And he said, well, you know, I need to put these leads down your shirt, and I wanted to introduce myself because if I'm going to look down a lady's shirt, I believe we should know each other. And I thought, oh, this is so nice. You know, only in rural Texas do they take this time to make these personal connections with you. They take the time in rural Texas. And so I remember him very clearly. He was this very nice man. And so the emergency services people in Marlin, which is so great. If, you know, Marlin EMS, I love you. I love you to this day. You are wonderful people of Marlin. And I went to Marlin and they transferred me to Temple. I think it was Temple. And their hospital looked me over, and it was there that I found out I was paralyzed. And these two doctors say, can you feel this? And I'm like, feel what? And they said, well, can you feel what we're doing to your legs? And I said, what are you talking about? And I looked down and one of them is poking it's like putting a needle in my foot, and the other one's pinching my other leg. And I can't feel anything. At this point, I lost whatever composure I had left. I completely lost it. I started crying and I was like gibbering, wailing, crying because I was paralyzed. I could not feel anything from like the waist down. I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't wiggle my toes. They put me through some tests. They like pushed a pen across the bottom of my foot, like real hard like that. Couldn't feel it. Now, I've never been ticklish, but I could feel no sensation. And I was flipping. I did not know what to do. I was actually completely paralyzed for 6 hours, I think, something like that. And I thought I was never gonna walk again. I couldn't even cope. I couldn't even process that information at the time. I had just very little hair on this side of my head and couldn't even deal with the fact that I've been struck by lightning. I had burns on this part of my chest. They're called Lichtenberg figures, which are, they look like kind of like a tree. They're these little fractal-like images. Sometimes they're permanent. In my case, they were not, thankfully. They stuck around for several months, and I had burns on this part of my face because my glasses like flagged and partially melted. And what they figured is the lightning actually struck me here and arced on my glasses and went down my body, actually went out my feet. And that was where the foam in my flip-flops really kind of like saved me because they stopped me from fully grounding. But they caused my shoes to kind of burst in flames and knocked me across the room. And so all of these things prevented me from fully grounding and from 100% like electrocuting. So while I caught the charge, I did not die. They could not figure out how I was struck by lightning. It is very rare to be struck by lightning indoors, but it does happen. I was struck directly. They did figure that out because of the way I was hit, because of the fact that it did not hit any of the buildings. It did not, they did investigate this afterwards. They looked at the window frame. They looked at the fire escape. They even like glanced at the building next door. They found no evidence of any other lightning hitting. They found no evidence of any metal or any charring or anything that would indicate that lightning had initially struck elsewhere and I had gotten any kind of, I forget what it's called, but it's like secondary strike or bleed over where it had hit something else and then it had arced to me. So I had taken a direct strike of lightning in the head. I've been told that that means that Zeus loves me. I've been told that that means a lot of things. Personally, I tend to go with the Norse mythology side of things, and I think that that means that Thor either loves me or hates me. I'm taking it as Thor loves me. They say lightning never strikes twice. Well, that's not entirely true. It's an incredibly unlikely event to get struck by lightning, but the law of very large numbers means that once you've been struck once, it actually does raise your chances of being struck again by a small amount. So I do get a little more cautious now when I hear thunder, really, really loud thunder. I kind of go, there's a little part of me that goes, because I used to say that because I'm so accident prone, and because if these things happen, they're gonna happen to me, that if I was ever in a very crowded auditorium and lightning was going to hit, it would hit me. Make sure to comment, subscribe. I'd love to read your comments. I'd love to know what you think of my story. If you have any stories of you being struck by lightning or having to deal with any other natural disasters, please share. I'd love to hear how you've dealt with these same things. Here we are outside. The rain has somewhat lifted, and you can actually see my trees now. This is where I live. And so I'm no longer in danger of being struck by lightning. I hope the storm had not yet hit me last time and I didn't get struck, but now you can actually see the trees. You can somewhat see how bright and sunshiny it is. No, it's not bright and sunshiny. It's not bright and sunshiny at all. But yeah, so that is my story. That is the story of the time I was struck by lightning and survived. And I have survived this storm as well. I have weathered the storm in full-fledged fashion of weathering storms. Okay, and with that piece of thunder, I go inside once more. Here we go. Let's go back. Let's go back. Back inside. Come on, Fiskig. I want to live! I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Come back and let's have some more fun later. See you next week.